Westminster Abbey. It is in London, and the plan is cruciform, and the nave and the transept have side aisles. The choir is semicircular, and its ring of chapels is the only complete one in England which forms a shed. And it is the crowning place of most of the monarchs of England since the year 1066, since William the Conqueror. And also 18 monarchs have their burial place. Also some other people have the tomb, for example in the Poets' Corner, Alfred Lord Tennyson, George Chaucer and Robert Browning. Now, it was originally a gravel island in the marshy floodplain. Then in the 7th century, Ethelred, the king of Kent, led there a church built. And it was then used as an abbey church to a Benedictine monastery until 1539. But previously already, in 1050, Edward the Confessor let them there build a Norman church, which was consecrated in 1065. And 1066 was when the crowning of William the Conqueror. And when Henry III in 1245 demolished the edifice and built the eastern portion, and also a fine octagonal chapter house. And when other things were done, cloisters were made in the 14th century and other principal monastic buildings. Then Henry VIII then let them build the Lady Chapel, and the Lady Chapel is a dedication to Henry VII. At the shrine of Edward the Confessor, there is told that there some holy things happened, and that makes the church, is said to be able to be a place of having more sanctity, and also a place fit for monarchy. Now, Henry VIII, then the Lady Chapel, and then also the two western towers were built in the 18th century, 1720 until 1740 or something, under the architectural instruction of Sir Christopher Wren and Nicholas Hawksmoor. And then in the 19th century, there were restorations done under Sir George Gilbert Scott. And during the Victorian age in the 19th century, many memorial statues were added, and there are some bells. And since 1220, one is still there from the 13th century and two from the 16th century. There's the Westminster Abbey Company of Ringers, and to major royal events or to major church events or to civic events, they are ringing them, and sometimes they are also rung muffled, for example at the funeral service of Diana. And that is according to the history of the kings and queens of England and Scotland, written by Edmund Swinghurst on pages 34 and 35, but the positions and views expressed are the ones of the source and don't necessarily align with my own or with the ones of the entities it's spoken of. Hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn architecture today, Westminster Abbey, and after we've done it, we're going to do stretching. And if you participate in the stretching, then it's at your own risk, and it is now the second time that we're reading it. Westminster Abbey. Westminster Abbey was originally the abbey church of a Benedictine monastery in London, which closed in 1539. Okay, it was originally the abbey church of a Benedictine monastery that had closed in 1539. Not only is it one of England's most important Gothic structures, it is also a national shrine. It is an important Gothic structure of Britain and also a national shrine of Britain. It was originally, until 1539, the abbey church of a Benedictine monastery. The first church on the site, originally a gravel island in the marshy floodplain, is believed to date from early in the 7th century. It was erected by Ethelbert, King of Kent. At that place there was earlier already a church, erected on the order of Ethelbert, the King of Kent, and that was then on a gravel island in the marshy floodplain. Edward the Confessor began 1050 the building of the Norman church, which was consecrated in 1065. Miracles claimed at the Confessor's shrine confirmed the site's sanctity as a focus for monarchy. Ethelbert, King of Kent, ordered the building on a gravel site in the marshy floodplain, 7th century. In 1015, then ordered Edward the Confessor where to build a Norman church, and that was consecrated in 1065. And there is also reported that there happened wonders at the shrine of Edward the Confessor. In 1245, Henry III began to demolish the edifice and to build a new eastern portion. The fine octagonal chamber house was built in 1250, and in the 14th century the cloisters, abbot's house, and principal monastic buildings were added. Henry III, 1245, demolished edifice and building a new eastern portion. And the octagonal chapter house, I don't really know what it is. I don't know really what it is. And the octagonal chapter house was built in 1255 years later. Then in the 14th century, cloisters, abbot's house, and more monastic buildings. 1245, Henry III demolishing the edifice and building eastern portion, and 1050 then the octagonal chapter house, and 1250 the octagonal chapter house, and 1450, just 14th century, 14th century then the cloisters, the abbey, abbot's house, the cloisters, abbot's house, and more monastic buildings. Cloisters, abbot's house. The nave was completed in the 16th century. Henry VIII finished the Lady Chapel, which was a dedication to Henry VII, early in the 16th century. And then in the 16th century, Henry VIII finishing the Lady Chapel in dedication to Henry VII. This chapel in perpendicular style is noted for its superb fan vaulting. And the Lady Chapel in perpendicular style, which is superb for its fan vaulting, was built in the 16th century on the order of Henry VIII in dedication to Henry VII. The two western towers were built 1722-1740 by Sir Christopher Wren and Nicholas Hawksmoor. The two western towers, early 18th century, under the architectural order or instruction of Sir Christopher Wren and Nicholas Hawksmoor. Beginning 18th century, Sir Christopher Wren and Nicholas Hawksmoor. In the late 19th century, Sir George Gilbert Scott supervised extensive restoration. Okay, maybe these are not a lot of information, but maybe Sir George Gilbert Scott in the 19th century making a lot of restorations, supervised extensive restorations. From that time, memorial statues by many academic Victorian sculptors had been added to the decor. From that time, statues by many academic Victorian sculptors. So during the Victorian age, there were many sculptors who had made statues of people. And then also later, Sir George Gilbert Scott, 19th century, the renovations, and then during the Victorian age, many sculptors started to make many statues of people, in memory of people. The present church is cruciform in plan. Both nave and transept have side ions. It has a cruciform plane, and the nave and transept have a side ions. The choir is semicircular in plan. I don't really know what it is. The choir is semicircular in plan, and its rings of chapels exhibit the only complete chapel in England. These are too many words which I don't know. French influence is also seen in the height of the nave, the loftiest in England, and in the strong emphasized flying buttresses. The nave is the loftiest one of England, so we try to say that at the beginning when we say the thing with the important Gothic structure and a national shrine. Nearly every English king and queen since William I has been crowned at Westminster, and it is the burial place of 18 monarchs. England's most notable statesmen and distinguished subjects have been given burial in the Abbey since the 40th century. Most monarchs of Britain had been crowned there, and also 18 monarchs have a burial place, and also other notable statesmen and distinguished subjects have been given burial in the Abbey. In the Poets' Corner in the south transept rest the tombs of Geoffrey Chaucer, Robert Browning, and Alfred Lord Tennyson, and other great English poets. The bells. Westminster Abbey has had bells since 1220, and the bells in use today include one 13th century and two 16th century bells. Something to the bells do we try to say when we're making a little section. Since 1220 is it there, and one which is in use is from the 13th century and two other ones from the 16th century. 113, 216, 1220 started. The Westminster Abbey Company of Ringers provides ringing at the Abbey for major church festivals, royal and civic events. In the big events, major church festivals, royal events, or civic events, where the Westminster Abbey Company is ringing it. Westminster is a company of ringers. Westminster Abbey Company of Ringers is by major church festivities or royal festivities or civic festivities ringing the bells. The half-muffled Abbey bells were included in the worldwide broadcast of a funeral service for Diana, Princess of Wales. By the funeral service of the Princess of Wales Diana, the Abbey bells were used in half-muffled. Are they always half-muffled, or for the occasion? Okay, we're through it. We don't have time for a presentation, and I want to read it again, or at least make a presentation another time. Information, so I have them pretty much in the head, but I like to have them one more time. So that means that was the architecture part. If you were here for architecture, then you can go directly to the next part where we try to make the presentation. If you stay here and participate in the stretching, that is better. The feet are standing together, open with one foot and the other foot. Heels, heels, toes, toes, heels, heels. Go as far as you can go. And then back in again. This time, stick down in the knees. Legs a bit, legs just above, and breathe in, arms up, and out and go to the side. In and up, out to the other side. In and up, out, go down. And out and arm up. Breathe in and up the rib cage. Out and back. Again in. Out the other hand slides down the leg, the other shoulder stays down. Breathe in. Out one arm up. In on the rib cage. Out and back. Have our feet standing together. In the arms up. Breathe out and reach. Out to the other side. In and up. Out and down. Legs standing apart and shoulder circles. Back, up, in front, and down. And in front, up, back, and down. And breathe in the shoulders up. Out and down. In and up. Out and down. And the arms up. And reach always with one arm high up. Pretend to take an apple hanging high on an apple branch and then to harvest it. And legs apart, arms to the sides, breathe in and out and go to the side. Breathe in, out and go to the other side. In and out and lean onto the knees. Breathe in. Then out one shoulder in front. In back. Out the other one in front. In and back. And out and hanging down. Breathe in. Out and go over to one leg. Breathe in. Out to the other leg. Breathe in. Out middle, and close the feet. Breathe again in and out. Again in. Then arm comes slowly round back up. And again, the shoulder backwards. Shoulder. With those up to the outside, breathe in the arms up. And breathe out and sink down. Place the elbows against the insides of the knees. Breathe in and straighten up. And breathe out and come with the back up. Breathe in. Out and down. Breathe in and straighten up. And out comes slowly in one straight line up. Have a good standing leg. Place the knee of the other leg on top of the, place the heel of the other leg on top of the knee of the standing leg. Breathe in and out and sink down. Up again, the other leg. And out and sink down. Okay. Legs to the sides, put your finger down. And out, open the rib cage. In and up. Out and down. Another round in and up. Out. In. Out. Breathe in and close the legs. And again out. That was stretching. I thank you very much. And until next time.